Hello everybody, hope you're having a good day. Today I'm going to show you how I installed some laminate flooring in this bedroom here, step by step. Let's do it. The very first thing I did in this house is I put down a new subfloor. It's a 1/2-inch OSB with subfloor adhesive and screws over top of the old 100-year-old oak hardwood flooring to put down this new laminate flooring. The old flooring was so beat up in these bedrooms it wasn't worth saving. And if you need a new subfloor or not, it depends on your application. You need to make sure it's level and very solid for the new laminate flooring. So here I'm putting down the underlayment now on top of that. It's basically like a thin packaging foam. They charge you 25 bucks for 100 square feet of it at the hardware store. So it gets a little expensive for that stuff, but you put it down, takes up any little unlevelness in your floor and makes it not squeak. Usually I'm not a big fan of the jigsaw for most stuff, but for laminate flooring, you can use a jigsaw to cut every single piece you need for your laminate flooring. But I also use my miter saw. A table saw would be nice, but mine was out in the garage. Either way, jigsaw works great for this. Just cut out along your lines and you'll be good to go. Get stuff fitted in place really good. So I'm sliding this piece of laminate flooring under the door jamb here, and I'm using a block of wood to tap it in place. You never want to tap on the male portion of the tongue and groove, the little piece that sticks out, because you will destroy that. And then I'm showing you here, there's also a puller I'm using. You need one of these to put laminate flooring down, so you're going to have to get one of these laminate flooring pullers. So the next piece, I have to do a rip cut on it. That would be great for a table saw, but I just use my jigsaw anyways. And I'm marking it. What I do is I flip the piece around and mark right where it's at, and you get an accurate cut that way without using a tape measure. Actually, I didn't use a tape measure for any of this. It's all just lining it up and marking it. So with the piece cut to size now, we're going to slide the tongue and groove together and basically lock it in place. With a shorter piece like this or skinnier piece, it can get a little tricky, but you can just gotta do it by feel. After I started establishing the first row there, the next row you have to stagger them, so you don't want to put a full-length piece in where your seams would line up. You have to stagger it. So I cut a shorter piece, and then for the next row you'll want an even shorter piece. You want 3 different sizes, and then you can start over with a big piece. And when you're really smart with it, you can use scraps and stuff. Just keep track of what ends go where. So on the second piece here in the second row of this, you're going to take a full piece and lock it in place. I had to wiggle it around a little bit because that piece that I cut wasn't on perfectly straight because of the seam. But anyways, you get your laminate flooring puller on the end. And we're going to pull it into the next tongue and groove on the short end here. And then what I do is I kind of stand on the other piece to make sure it's down and lined up. And then you just hammer it, and it should lock in place. And then here I'm starting the third row, and like I already mentioned, I'm using an even shorter piece. This was definitely just like a scrap I had sitting there because you want to save as much material as you can. Just start it off with that and then go to a full piece at the next row after that. So this is what I was talking about with undercutting the door jambs. This is a saw especially made just for doing this, and it's a flat side on one side where you can put it directly up against the floor or a block of wood. You can start off with the door jamb right with the saw right on the floor here. I'm going to cut in back, basically cut it back both ways, and then I'm going to put the piece of the flooring right there, and then I'm going to put the saw on top of that and saw into the door jamb some more. And I'm gonna get a chisel and a hammer and just remove basically some piece under there so I can fit the new laminate flooring under there without it looking crappy, because if you don't do this, then the laminate flooring is gonna look way worse, than it could if you do this. I guess it's a good time to mention that the reason you do this is because you can't put quarter round, through the door jambs, and around the rest of the room you actually want a gap between the edge of your flooring and your wall for expansion and contraction of the laminate flooring. Like 1/4 of an inch is fine. But then what you do is you go back around and you put a 1/4 round down all the way around the room. So here's the piece that's going to go inside the door jamb here for the closet, and I'm going to mark where I'm going to cut it. You know, you could have a situation where your seam is in the middle. That's okay. All you gotta do is just make your pieces, you know, fit one side and the other around the door jamb. And here's the cut piece. I'm gonna show you there. It's a tight fit, but it went in. What you want to do? I had already fitted the tongue and groove together on the left side there to the other piece, and just slid the whole thing in. So once you get around door jambs with this stuff, the rest of the room is pretty smooth sailing. Cutting the ends can get a little tedious sometimes. What you want to pay attention to is keep your leftovers in a neat, organized pile. There's 2 piles you want, really. You want a pile of pieces with male ends on them and a pile of pieces with female ends on them. The female end one you can start the row with. The male end ones you can end them with. And, you know, depending on the length you have left, you can reuse it and not waste more material than you need to. And then from here on out, it's pretty smooth sailing, like I said. And like I'm showing you right there, you can put this in sideways and then tap it in with the puller, so with the slide the other way too. You'll see here. So this stuff will slide in either way. So if you have to get, like when you do the closet in here, I'm not going to show you how I'm doing the closet, but I'm doing it backwards basically. I'm sliding the female end onto the male end of the laminate flooring, and it works just fine either way. You just tap it on, it goes on.